I would like to say something about the author of this book. No, this is not a book club. No, we're not talking about the story actually, but Jules Verne was a nerd. I have never read something as scientifically accurate as this. Good day people, this is Mina Koro and welcome to my first installment of the series Let's Talk About This Song. I thought some of you might be interested in the process of songwriting. Some of you might even be songwriters and might need some advice or something to kick off new ideas. For me, something that spawns ideas is reading a book. If I have the time for it, I read non-fiction most of the time. I do not really have the time to read a lot of fictional work, but if I do, it kind of gets my mind working. So I recently published my last single, 20,000 Leagues Down. Before you continue with this video, head down to the description box and listen to it, okay? I first thought I might play a snippet here, but that kind of destroys the whole flow of the videos. Oh, this is Mina from the future and I just realized that there is some serious clipping on the recording. I am so sorry for that and the incommodities connected to it. I already fixed the problem, but the uploading process to the various listening platforms takes some time. So please stick around for a new version. Until then, I hope you'll listen to this one anyway. Thank you. Without further ado, two things I would like to mention. One, I will not give you a summary of this book here. If you care to read it, maybe you already know it, and if you don't, spoiler alert, the song lyrics kind of give away what happens, at least at the core of all things. Two, I don't want to explain the song. You listen to it and enjoy it and take a ride into the deep of the ocean. Okay, here we go. This book is kind of the memoir of Professor Aronnax, the protagonist of this story. Now, my song is written from his perspective too, but it's kind of a reflection of everything that happened. That is different. He is kind of looking at himself right now and thinks, whoa, maybe I should have known better. At the beginning, Aronnax and his two companions, Conseil, his assistant and servant kind of, and the Canadian harpooner Ned Land, are being captured by the Nautilus, or rather by its crew, right? They wake up in a room where it's pitch black actually. They can't see a thing and they're kept there for several hours. And then all of a sudden that Captain Nemo comes in. Of course, he doesn't really introduce himself. He's just a captain. And he wants to be called Nemo. He is nowhere man. He is nobody. And that is the first verse of the song. Yeah, the book starts with a lot of technical data and descriptions of ships that were sailing across the seas in the mid-19th century. So the story takes place in 1866, if you care. I start on the Nautilus. They wake up in the pitch dark cell and they are offered to be guests for a lifetime on the Nautilus. Why? Because they don't want to die. Yeah, there's something wrong with Nemo, right? He's the antagonist, of course, in this story. And Ned Land, the harpooner, is the most human character in this whole book. He right away says, once Nemo leaves, I'm not crazy here, I'm running away. Are you with me? Professor Aronnax, though, is different. He is a biologist and he's a specialist for marine life. He says, well, I do not really have any ties with the world up there. I'll just stay. I will be able to see things no human has ever seen before. He is so driven by his curiosity and inquisitiveness that he is more than willing to stay to be the prisoner. That, of course, is about to change, and that is kind of the red thread that weaves its way through the whole book. I picked up that thread and turned it into a chorus. It just lends itself to be the chorus, right? The chorus should always be something that can be repeated throughout the song, but after every verse sounds kind of different and gets a different level of depth, if you get my meaning. No pun intended. A curious mind in a steel-pilled prison, enchanted by the wonders around, and he really gets to see wonders there, trust me. I didn't know that Nowhere Man was feeling 20,000 leagues down. Nemo is something. He's an engineer. He has visions. He is a scientist. He's a poet. He is exceptional and has created exceptional things. First of them being the Nautilus, of course, which at today's standards is outstanding. It runs on electricity completely. I imagine it to be kind of a hydrogen engine because they use the salt water to create the electricity, right? There's an organ in there, there's a library in there. It is much like an apartment under sea, and it's huge. Everything they eat, they wear, everything they need is taken from the ocean. They're disconnected from the surface world completely. So the Nautilus is a world of its own. And that brilliant mind, Nemo, of course, has a secret. And throughout the story, there are hints given that there is something behind all this doing of him. It would be nice to think that it would be his kind spirit driving him to excel in all these things and creating the things he has created, but unfortunately not. So Aronnax tries not to be too shaken by that, and it just goes with it and marvels at everything he gets to see, the underwater life and everything. But about halfway through the book there is a chapter that is eerie and that starts to shine a light on motives that Nemo might actually have, and that is the coral graveyard. That had to be the second verse because it kind of propels the storyline, right? We want to know now, after the first chorus, why Nemo might be feeling 20,000 leagues down. Why? And how does it show? There is an incident at which a sailor, crew member of the Nautilus, dies and he has to be buried. Now you might expect that if you are on a submarine that the body might be put into some kind of a boat or a sarcophagus or something like that and pushed out into the ocean. No, that does not happen. Well, for one thing, a very practical reason, Nemo does not want to give away his existence. Nobody knows that the Nautilus actually is a submarine. Everyone thinks that the attacks come from a giant whale, a narwhal. So not even the dead bodies are given to the surface world, no. There is a funeral taking place on the bottom of the ocean in a clearing in a coral reef. And Aronnax, witnessing that, kind of gets a bad feeling about Nemo. At the same time, of course, he wants to know why all that is. So what is wrong with him actually shows in the showdown, and that had to be the bridge. Nemo is chasing someone. I don't quite remember, an admiral or captain of, I think, a British Navy ship. It's important to mention that Jules Verne does not get political here. Nemo is described to be a southern man, and he has been depicted as being Indian or something like that. No, so maybe it has to do with the history of India and the British Empire, I don't know. But his family was killed. Everything dear to him was taken by this oppressor, as he calls him. He is the demon he is chasing and that is chasing him. So when they encounter the British Navy ship, Aronnax realizes that Captain Nemo is nothing but a murderer, and that freaks him out, and finally he wants to escape. So Nemo is willing to kill the whole crew, to sink the whole Navy ship, just to be sure to get his oppressor and kill him. So what fascinates me about this story is, of course, the characters. So on one hand, we have the protagonist, Professor Aronnax, who is so willing to give up his freedom to feed his curiosity that is his weakness. And on the other hand, we have this excelling, brilliant mind, Captain Nemo, who is totally driven by hate and the need for revenge, his weakness. It kills him. Once his oppressor is dead, he does not have a reason to live anymore, and he and his crew and the Nautilus and everything go down the maelstrom and probably die. We do not find out. This book deals with weaknesses. One, the curiosity of Professor Aronnax, and on the other hand, the hate and need for revenge of Captain Nemo. And that is, I think, what fascinated me about this story. I am always very interested in that strange ways we as human creatures sometimes display. And this kind of stuff inspires me. This song actually started as a beat. I think I called it dark electronic blues or something, and it has a bluesy vibe about it. But pretty quickly, before I quite had finished reading the book, I came up with the lyrics. The whole story just got my mind working, and because this was a very specific setting, like underwater, submarine and everything, it was so easy to come up with sounds that create the atmosphere of being underwater. That was fun. I must say. So this song is about the human abyss, right? I hope I nailed it. I actually like the song. I don't know if by now I would have been able to produce it better because I actually started it about a year ago, but I wasn't able to record vocals back then, so I finished it like last week and then put it up into the ether. But I did not really want to start new. There was a time when I had fights with the perfectionist inside me. I think I kind of killed it. So this recording has a story of its own, right? It has been lying on the hard drive of my computer for a year and was finished recently, hopefully for your enjoyment. And there is something I would like to know. When was the last time you were inspired by a work of fiction, and which one was it? Write it down into the comment section. I hope you enjoyed the song. I hope you will subscribe to this channel and be curious about what might be coming up next. So bing the notification bell. And until next time, have a good one. I hope you like this video. Tschüss. Oh yeah, and one more thing, because I bet you are going to comment on that. Yes, I had a cold when I recorded the vocals. Deal with it. Couldn't wait.